Hello everyone, welcome to my civil engineering YouTube channel. Please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon to get notified when I post my new videos. Today we are discussing about concept of force and force systems. So in this lecture series we are going to discuss about definition of force, characteristics of force and classification of force system. So here basically force is an external agency which changes or tends to change the state of rest or state of motion of a body. So when a body is at rest, then if we want to convert that rest position to the motion, then the some amount of external bombardment is required in order to convert its position from rest to motion or vice versa. So here you can just observe in the first figure that there is a block which is resting on a table. So here this is in a rest position. So if it is if it is subjected to the applied force in this direction, in this direction, so then the body converts its position from rest to motion. Or in the second case, in the second sketch, you can just observe the ball, so which is moving, and this is the applied force, and there is a contact surface which on which the uh, ball rolls on the contact surface, and due to the irregularities present on the contact surface, there will be frictional force generated between the object as well as the contact surface, so that the amount of the motion speed get reduced due to the frictional force. So therefore, as that continues, the motion will be changed to the state of motion will be changed to the state of rest. Hence the force is the friction external agency which changes or tends to change the state of rest or state of motion of a body, and usually it is expressed as Newton in terms of SI units. And if at all if we want to convert it in terms of kgs, so 1 Newton is nothing but 9.81 kgs. It can be rounded off to 10 kgs. So next, coming on to the characteristics, or it is also called as elements of force. So here you can just observe that I have considered an example over here. So basically there are four characteristics of force. First one is called as magnitude. Here a box is subjected to the force of 10 Newton. So 10 Newton is the amount or the quantity of force acting on the body. So that is the first characteristic of the force. So how much is the amount of force which is acting on the body to change its state from rest to motion or motion to rest? So that is called as magnitude, the quantity. So next is direction. So direction, here you can just observe that as it is moving along the direction of the push. So the body is moving along the direction of the force applied. So it travels along the way at which the force is applied. So that line of action or that way is called as direction of the force. So here the red color arrow mark indicates the direction. So next is line of action. It is geometrical representation how the object moves. It is the line at which, through which, it is a line through which the object moves along the direction of application of force. So last one is called as point of application. So it is the point where there is a placement of the hand on the object. So that point is called as the the point of application with reference to this example. So point of application is the point where the force is applied on the object. So basically there are four characteristics of the force. First one is magnitude, which represents the quantity or amount of force acting on a body, and second one is the direction. It is the way through which the object moves due to the action of the force. And line of action, it is the direction or the line through which the object moves due to the application of the load. And point of application is the point where the force is applied on the object. So these are the four characteristics, or it is also called as elements of the force. Next, coming on to the classification of the forces. So there are two types of the forces, which is called as direct force, or it is also called as contact force. So this is the force which is produced due to the direct contact of the external agency onto the object. So that force is called as direct force or contact force. Say for example, you can just observe in the figure the contact forces such as frictional force. So these are the frictional force, and then the spring force. Due to the contact of any object on the spring, there is a force exerted on the spring, so that is a contact force, and this is a muscle force. So these are some of the basic examples of the direct force or the contact force. So second one is called as body force. It is the force which is produced well within the object without any application of the external agency. So this might also be called as internal force. So this is a force which is produced without any direct contact between the objects. So you can give an example as gravitational force, or this is the magnetic force between the two magnets, and this is electrostatic force. So these are some of the examples of the body force. Contact force due to the which is generated or produced due to the direct contact between the objects, and body force without any direct contact between the objects, the force is produced. So next is classification of force system. So the force system, here the first classification is coplanar force system. Coplane, the name itself indicates coplane, same plane. The force system, or the system of forces on which is having a same plane is called as, or which acts on the same plane, or the line of action of the force acts on the same plane, then it is called as coplanar force system. Next, concurrent. So it is the forces which are either converging or diverging through a single origin, which is called as concurrent force system. The forces which are either converging or diverging through a single origin is called as concurrent force system. Next, collinear force system. It is a force system in which there is a same line of action, or the line of action will pass through the same line for different force for the different forces is called as collinear force system. Next, non-concurrent force system. No, it should be non-coplanar. Sorry, this has to be non-coplanar force system. So this is a force system in which it is not acting on the same plane. The forces are not acting on the same plane. Then it is called as non-coplanar force system. So it should be non-coplanar, coplanar. So non-coplanar force system. So next is like parallel forces. In general, it is parallel forces, but in particular there are two different types of parallel forces. One is like parallel forces, and second one is called as unlike parallel forces. So, like parallel forces, these are the forces in which it is having the same direction. So, direction either upward, downwards, rightward, or leftward, and these are the forces which are parallel to each other. Next, unlike parallel forces, so these are the forces which are not in the same direction, but they are parallel to each other. So these are the unlike parallel force system. So this is all about the force classification of different forces and characteristics of the force, and also a classification of force system. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe the video. Thank you.